Meeting Thursday, August 8th, 2024. This is a call to order, and we will start with the flag pledge, and the flag is right there to my right. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. We have joining us by Zoom, we have Nathan McClintock and Julie Thies, Mary Schilling, Dallas Petenbrink, Carol Yardley, Michelle Roberts, and Jim Jordan, your host this evening. Agenda item 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
There's a motion?
And I second.
And there's a motion by Dallas Petenbrink, and Carol seconded that. All in favor of the approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
We have 7-0 on that, Michelle. Okay, agenda item 3, election of board officers for 2024 to 2025 school year. We will start with 3A, the board chair. Are there any nominations for board chair?
Yes, I would like to nominate Jim Jordan.
Okay.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second to nominate Jim Jordan. Any other nominations? Any at all? Anybody else? All right, with that, there's a motion and a second to nominate Jim Jordan as board chair. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're stuck with it.
I think it was 7-0. So, okay. 3B, election of board vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Carol Yardley.
I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion to nominate Carol by Mary Schilling, second by Michelle Roberts. Any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, with that, we will vote. All in favor say aye and vote in approving Carol Yardley as vice chair.
Aye.
7-0. Okay. Election of board officer 3C, board second vice chair. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Michelle Roberts.
I second that.
Okay. There's a motion to nominate Michelle Roberts by Mary Schilling, a second by Carol Yardley. Any other nominations for board second vice chair? Okay, with that, we will vote. All in favor of voting for Michelle Roberts as board second vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
7-0. Okay, congratulations. All right. Agenda item 4, and I see we have one, so I will read the public participation guidelines. Board welcomes comments and questions from the public. If you wish to address the board, please fill out public participation sheet available at the table. Give it to the board secretary. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If more than one person will be addressing the same topic, we ask that you appoint a spokesperson to speak for your group. Speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear comments regarding individual school personnel. With that, we have Melissa and Doug Peck. You're welcome to sit there or wherever you like.
I guess we'll ask a couple of questions first. We know that our complaint letters are already on the agenda for later, and this is our first opportunity to speak to the board and hear about how this is going, so we weren't exactly sure of the protocol.
So what you do at public comment, you get 3 minutes, and I've read the guidelines, and you're free to say whatever you like, except there's prohibitions listed in the guideline. Not interactive. You get to be heard and say what you like within those guidelines. And
maybe will we have an opportunity to speak later?
no, not at this time.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board today.
As you know from executive session, we have 2 out of the 4 letters that we have written in regards to complaints against North Bend School Board member Mary Schillings and her behavior acting as a, basically using district resources as she participated in purchasing some clothing from Impeccable Designs. Basically, that situation, after meeting all of her requests, we show in our letter where, and have provided evidence that shows Mary Schillings acted out of character as a board member. She made a purchase on February 9th, in February 2024 for a fundraiser shirt from Funksgiving, which is an activity that the band sponsors. It's something that I've been doing in conjunction with the band for 4 or 5 years, providing shirts for kids to purchase, and that money goes back into the pot for different activities that the children are participating in. Mary Schillings purchased a shirt, and at that time, her husband donated $100. After that day, as I was processing her order, I received a phone call from Michelle Bricks calling on behalf of Mary Schillings, who she identified as a North Bend School Board member, and she wanted back her pen. And I'm sure that in your information that you received in executive session, you've already seen these photographs. She wanted back her pen that her husband had left at the event the night before. Michelle then used my personal cell phone number and her personal cell phone number to send me a picture of the pen. Basically, after that, my conversation with Mary Schillings was done via text message. I shot her a picture of the pen along with her receipt, basically as she was asked. There was a problem later with the shirt that were holes in it, so Michelle Bricks called again to make an exchange for Mary Schillings' personal purchase. I thought it was a little odd, but I was trying to have good customer service, and I told her that I would replace the shirt, no questions asked. After that, I received a 3rd phone call asking again for another copy of the receipt that she had already received via text message and that she had acknowledged. So all of this snowballed into a letter that we received from Mr. Tim Kreider, which is basically a fabrication of the truth. Clearly, Mr. Kreider did not do his due diligence, do his due process. He makes statements that are absolutely false in his letter.
Excuse me, Melissa, so you can talk about the board members, but Mr. Kreider and Mr. Swaggerty are district. Please don't refer to their name or positions.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. The board members are open season. We're public figures. You can say what you like. However, the other 2 are district employees.
Okay, so can I refer to them as district administrators and employees?
Sure. Yeah,
okay.
District administration would be appropriate.
Okay, one of the higher authorities of district administration wrote a letter that was basically untrue and not founded on facts. If you look at the letter, which I'm sure, again, you received an executive session to go over, this particular district administrator, sorry about that, district administrator, there were several policies that were infringed upon on both Mary Schillings and the district representative. And basically the letter was a lie. It was not founded in anything. He made accusations basing that Impeccable Designs used district slogans, district, I think he refers to it as, during the Thanksgiving event, you sold t-shirts from your business with a school district's name on them, which was not a district-sponsored fundraiser. This is not truthful. If you look at the artwork from the Thanksgiving t-shirt, North Bend School does not even appear on the t-shirt. So we were very suspect at that point that he actually even looked at the t-shirt, and that this letter, for whatever reason, was simply to cover up Mary Schilling's illegitimate behavior as she's used personal district resources for her personal gain in that situation. The letter goes on and on and on, and then of course, Mr. Swaggerty endorsed the letter, which makes him completely liable and responsible.
Please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes,
That's
you're right.
okay.
I'm sorry. The
So-
district person.
Out of respect, I like people to come, I'm glad people come in from the public. I like people to have their say and be heard. So right now, you're at the 6-minute mark, so.
Okay.
And I'll say, hey, there's 2 of you, 3 minutes each, I'll add it to 6. So if you're able to wrap up, that would be.
Certainly,
Thank you.
yes. So basically, our hope is that, well, I will read from the district, the letter that we sent in regards, and this is our hope and our expectation. The expectation is that the letter that was dictated and directed from the North Bend School principal, in conclusion, we're asking for immediate suspension of the North Bend School District Assistant and a full investigation of his misrepresentation of the facts, collusion to provide misinformation, unauthorized use of district power and the name of another public entity, unethical behavior of a public servant in the interference of the North Bend School District in private parties, the misuse of resources in pursuit of illegitimate claims, and the behavior unbecoming district person of public entity. We further request that the ethics be reviewed and done internally, that we may find other issues with their leadership. And then that Douglas and Melissa Peck be fully vetted through the North Bend School District and have all, make sure I'm on my right letter here. Sorry, thank you. And an immediate reversal of all restrictions, bans, and imposed by the administration leadership in the district. Both Douglas and Melissa Peck be fully restored to fellowship and authorized volunteers, chaperones, fundraisers in support of all North Bend School District events, activities, and functions, while we work directly within parameters that the district puts forth that we have done for 25 years. We also want an immediate lifting of discriminatory directions that do not allow Melissa and Douglas Peck or their North Bend High School students from fundraising. And we strongly suggest an internal investigation be done on behalf of the administrative leadership in the district.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Peck.
Is there anything else you want to say? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 5. Boomer, is that Boomer right there? Boomer, right? I think Boomer's giving a legislative update someplace else. We will just move on past 5. Agenda item 6, summer school update, Dana Gainhill, Bruce Martin, and Chris Templeton.
All right, I think I've got the information. I'm going to start us out on that as we go through. We have offered actually 5 different programs this summer for kids within the district. First program we started was right after the week after school was out, and that was at the high school. And that was a high school summer school program. We're able to offer 4 in-person classes at the high school, a math, English, science, and social studies offering in there. Had 86 students sign up for that. 53 of those students completed credit, with several still awaiting to finish a few things before they could earn credit in there. Not all of them made it. Some pretty rigorous requirements. You had to be present 40 hours, in seat time for 40 hours, or have a real good excuse for a day or 2 of that and make up some additional work to meet that requirement as they went through. That left 53 credits earned compared to 11 that was earned in person last year. So we had a great increase there in the number of credits earned for students. We still have some outstanding kids in process of our Edgenuity course. We'll know what those are a little bit later on, and that's kind of opened and running through the summer. Kids can come in and test and complete coursework as they go through, but that's the online portion of the course that we have in there. So a great experience. I know Chris and Tracy have already planned some things at the high school to expand it even further next year. But to get that many kids in the seats in there to complete that coursework was great. And there as we went through. Middle school is in their second week of 3 weeks of summer school right now, as is the elementary. Middle school struggled a little bit more to get kids into the program. We had hoped to run somewhere between 50 and 60 kids. We were able to get 20 kids to show up consistently. We had initially planned on offering a 4-hour block of summer school with a math component, an English component, our ELA component, and a science component in there. Since we had less kids come in, we modified, and instead of canceling the whole summer program, we had 1 week of ELA in process, and currently we're in a week of science for those kids, and then we're going to go to a week of math support for those kids. Again, targeting some of those kids that struggle a little bit more, trying to build some of the skills for them as we go through. And just so you know, the elementary program and the middle school program provide transportation. And one of the things I noticed talking to a few parents as I was up, especially at the elementary program, there's a good deal of those students, about 50% of them ride the bus, and there's a good deal of those students who would not be able to make it in to those programs if we had not provided transportation. Transportation runs from Lakeside throughout town at major stops. So we don't do regular pickup like we do for all students. It'd be too expensive and too prohibitive, but I think we're running 5 different routes, smaller routes, and we do major bus stops in there and try to hit areas that we can get as many kids in there as we can, and especially those needier kids. At the elementary level, we currently have about 85 students, 80 to 85 students attending regularly, a few more, but by the time you factor in there's some kind of vacation or something in there, we don't get all of them every day, but we strive to get as many as we can. So the average has been about 80 kids in there. A little change from what it was in previous years. About 50% of the instruction that we're providing in ELA and math is in small groups. So we've really targeted bringing that group size down, and out of the 4 hours that they're a little under 2 hours that they're in either ELA or math, small group instruction. One of the benefits that we hear from teachers in there because of that is, kids are getting more practice. They can't kind of just withdraw from some of the things that are going on. They're accountable in there, and their confidence goes up because they're not necessarily having to report out in front of a whole group. I mean, it's okay when you're in there with 3 or 4 or 5 of your peers if you don't understand something. It's not kind of like being in the whole class in there. Again, transportation is critical there. We do serve breakfast and lunch to those kids at the middle school and high school in there as well. And of course, there has to be a little time. You can't sit there 4 hours and do academics. So we do gear some other type of things in there. When they go back to the classroom for the other portion of their instruction, they're applying some of their things into other content areas within the classroom. So there's still a major focus on ELA and math, especially at that elementary level. The 4th program we offered is in its first week this week, and it's 2 one-week programs. It's our SPLASH program, Orientation to Kindergarten, and that's a grant-funded program that we have through our Early Learning Hub here. We have currently 18 students attending the Hillcrest program and 16 at the North Bay program. We do things like orientation to kindergarten, just orientation to the school. What's it look like? What are they going to see when they come in their procedures, transitions, a little bit of early academics in there, but just getting them used to the school and what to expect when they come in, and fun type of activities in there for them. So we invite the parents in as well. We've had a parent coffee hour in there with the principals in the buildings, so they get a chance to ask questions, get answers in there, and parents are very happy with what we've done in there, and kids seem to be happy. We've also experienced some kids that struggled a little bit that had not been in a program before, so we're looking to help them acclimate a little bit easier, and hopefully when we start kindergarten, then they'll be ready to start and be more successful as we go in. So those are the 4 major programs. The other one that we offered, and we offer it every year, is our special education program for the most needy students that we have that show learning loss over time period and as part of their IEP process. So we offered a 3-week opportunity for kids within that program as well. So that's what our summer school's been doing, and so we've got a lot of offerings and a lot of things going on And Chris is here, I know Dana's here, Daryl, if they wanted to add anything in there, I don't see John here, but anything you want to add, Chris, Daryl, in there as you go through?
Just the only thing to add is that the summer school was supposed to have a lot of rigor, and we followed through on that. And so the kids had to be committed to 40 hours of seat time. And while that doesn't cover the entire class, we knew that they took that prior course. And so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't just come and go. And so the high school course had 2 makeup days. So again, if you missed one or sick, you had an opportunity to make up one. But it was exciting to see 53 current credits on the board, and that's going to help us get to our ultimate goal of graduation. So.
I will have one thing to add, I guess, if I can share something about our Splash program. These kindergartners are so bright. So, I mean, I'm just really impressed with what the parents have done to prepare them for kindergarten. And we did have an issue the first day with a young man who was having so much fun he didn't want to go home, and so he did at the end of the day, so they could try and stay there, which I hope isn't the things to come, but that's, I mean, to have the kids not crying because they don't want to be there, but wanting to stay is an awesome thing. So our community's done a lot.
And it's interesting as you talk to the parents of that, there's a lot of kids that had never been in a formalized program before. About 50% of them had not done anything other than maybe some type of small daycare type of opportunity. So bringing them into that large group is a great way to transition them in. And they're in most cases, in an area of the building kind of by themselves. So they have an opportunity to really excel in that environment.
Great.
And we're working diligently on starting the pre-K program, which is truly exciting, so.
Chris, before you go, is that an outfit or a costume, or are you a real believer in the Dallas Cowboys?
Dallas.
Okay.
Dallas, come on,
I'd like to make
buddy.
a motion that kind of cannot be worn.
I wore this for you, Dallas.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you, Bruce. Thank you, Chris, you keep it in. Bruce and Dana, I'd like to thank you for the, because we're still recovering from interrupted learning from the COVID lockdowns. So I want to thank you for putting together that program. Getting the turnout you got. Middle school's, I guess, a little bit of a tough place, or, got other things in mind, but thanks for doing what you did there.
It's interesting too, one last comment, to get teaching staff to do it, we recruited pretty heavily to do that. We've got some pretty committed people coming in and doing those things. It does require giving up a good portion of the summer in there, and so it's been a lot of work, not just from us, but from Lisa Hardman and Heather Fleming to help us recruit, get folks in there, kids and staff members, to provide that good program. The interesting part, you had 20 at the middle school come in, 20 stayed, so something must be working there. I mean, they didn't all, because it's an option, they could have stayed home day 2, but they'd come back, and the same thing is true at the elementary level and the high school level. So you've got to have programs that are meaningful for them to get out and come back.
Thanks to you administrators and the teachers for doing that. Appreciate it. Okay, agenda item 7. 7A, board reports and communication. Silence. 7B, superintendent report. Vince, right here to you.
All right, school's starting soon. How about that? So I just thought I'd remind everybody that we have on the 22nd, a new certified staff members will come in and have some orientation, do some training. On the 23rd, we will have classified staff come in and do an orientation, those that are new. And then on the 26th, all of our staff are in and we'll start our week of in-service. And then the week after that is when the students are back. So we are really right on the cusp of having all of that happen. So currently right now, registration, online registration is open. And so invite people to make sure they go through that process and do that. Beyond that, I'm going to let you read what you have there to read. Let me find where I'm at here. There it is. I do want to invite, we have something that's not in here, It officially happened after we did this. So, Mike, could you tell us a little bit about what's coming up this fall that is brand new?
Do I need to come up or?
Come on up.
Great.
Great, he loves this part.
Calm down.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Forrester.
So last April, we had every year, our athletic directors in our state meet over in a conference, and Greg Mulkey and I went to the 3A athletic directors and talked to them about their thoughts of moving the 3A volleyball tournament to the Bay Area instead of playing at Springfield High School like they have in the past. They've been there for, I think, 3 or 4 years. And so we weren't real sure what the reception would be. The 3A folks voted 31-0. They wanted to come to the Bay Area. I'm sure they'd probably talk to their cohorts that are part of the basketball programs. And so then we went back to the 4A people and talked to them about it. Obviously, their concern is North Bend and Marshall are both 4A schools. It would be like a home court advantage, but, and so they voted not quite as favorably, I would say. In fact, very unfavorably. But so this last summer, I guess in the spring and early part of the summer, the OSA reached out to all the different universities in the state, a lot of the bigger high schools that could host a tournament, and had no takers. And so in early July, we got a phone call from Missy Smith at the OSA, and she told us that if we wanted it, it was ours. And so we're still putting the schedule together, but the plan right now, it looks like the 4A games on, the date would be November 8th and 9th. On the 8th, all of the 4A games matches would be at North Bend. The 3A matches would be over at Marshfield. We would also have games on Saturday at our place. The one requirement that OSA had is that all championship matches had to be at one site. Marshall's got a better venue for hosting something like that. And so the championship matches will be over at Marshfield. We'll host some at North Bend as well. And so yeah, we're excited about it. We think it'll bring in over $500,000 to the community over the weekend, and it'll be a great thing for North Bend and Coos Bay, and we're excited. It'll be a huge effort, and our goal obviously would be this shouldn't be a one-year deal. This should be something, we would want it to be something that, like the basketball tournament has turned into, where we can have them coming back 20 years from now. So we'll do a great job of it, I'm sure. I think.
And that's 4A volleyball?
Volleyball, yeah.
So are we doing 3A volleyball and 4A volleyball?
We probably won't host any 3A. All those matches will be over at Marshfield. If we do have some 3A matches, it would be on the second day, some consolation matches. But great deal for our kids, and if we can't get into it, it's certainly doesn't usually hurt you to be able to play close to home. So pretty good deal. And I know, are we talking about parking situations here?
There's going to be some implications. We're going to have to figure out, some of the potential options to make sure that there's plenty of parking for the event. Obviously, matches will be happening Friday morning, and we'll have, currently we have school scheduled that day. So we're looking at a variety of options that will, if they require a calendar change, we'll bring to you next month. So we're going to start tackling that with our district leadership team and cabinet, and look at a variety of things.
Should be fun.
Good.
It'll be a little work, but that's all right.
Well, I want to thank you guys for,
Sure.
representing the community, because there's a lot of businesses in this community and citizens that really, I know for the basketball tournament, I'm amazed at what local businesses and sponsors do for those teams. It's great.
I enjoyed sharing that with the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce Executive Committee yesterday. It was a lot of fun to say, we've got another tournament coming.
Yes.
So get ready for us.
We actually received the contract this week from the OSA, so cool deal.
Great. Well, thanks for that.
That's exciting.
That-
Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude. My wife's with me 37 years today, so. Now a little dinner,
Thank you, Mike.
And then, I put at the end of my report, a little bit about preschool promise. Bruce, Dana, is there anything, I know we're gonna have a vote a little bit later on, an action item about appropriation of those funds, but did you wanna mention something about that? Take a couple of minutes to do that?
Of course, well, we are just so thrilled to have been a recipient of the preschool promise. We did get our grant agreement, $337,000. We have, just today, we worked with, so the organization that we're working with is called SCREL, South Coast Early Learning Hub, and they are the people that will do all the registration, and they will actually find the families for us. They have families that have already expressed interest. It's interesting, Bruce and I, we started hearing, well, we haven't necessarily advertised, we haven't, done anything very forward-facing, as far as from the school district about our preschool program coming up, but people in the community are starting to hear. And just today, when we talked with SCREL, they had some families call, a family that was actually in Coos Bay currently say, I want to go to the North Bend program. So it is a program that will have 18 students in it. We're looking at staffing, and so we should be having a posting coming soon. We are working with a company to get the classroom, actually all of the classroom materials in place. What's nice about working with that particular company is Lakeshore Learning, is that they'll put together a package, they'll come, they'll install it, they'll put it together for you, and they'll take all the garbage with them. So I think we like that plan. We have been working on looking at fencing plans, playground activity spaces, and just making sure that all that facility is ready out at North Bay. Bruce, anything else to add?
Yeah, it was, let's see, when was it? 3 days ago, I had a knock on my door. It was about 7 o'clock at night, and the neighbor from down the street that lives in the apartments came up and said, I heard you're starting a pre-K program, how do I get in? And we had done nothing to advertise, so I gave the name of the SCREL Hub to do that. The other thing, and Dana's been instrumental on this, is working with the Judith Mogan Trust that received $15,000 in grant money to help us start that program. It's kind of that seed money, one-time money to do that. And I know we're working with the Ford Foundation and have a meeting scheduled with them to look at also some opportunities to provide an environment that is really conducive and appealing to students and parents, and ultimately as safe as we can make it with the most opportunities for students out there. We want to make it a very positive experience. We're really excited as we talk to the people from the SCREL Hub. They're excited to have North Bend as a partner in there, and they're excited for the opportunities for families, especially that community north of the Bay, because there is nothing out there for preschool type of opportunities for them. And it's been an area that they really wanted to work on getting some type of service provided out there.
So we're in the process right now. We've got handbooks being created. We're talking with the bus company about transportation. So lots of moving parts. And we're really excited to start seeing some tangible changes out in that space, out at North Bay, get some of those changes happening. We are looking to have our preschoolers, their first day, their first official day, be probably one of those last weeks in September. And so for this start of the school year, we are looking to start a few weeks later than the remainder of the students, just so we can get the start of the school year settled and then welcome in and really focus in on making sure that this welcome of our pre-K students is as best as it can be. So that's a sort of a general timeline as to when we're looking to actually have students on campus this very late September.
I'm excited. This year I got to watch Carol chase kindergarten students. Next year we can watch him chase pre-K.
Looking forward to it, Daryl.
And the last thing I want to mention is that it's a little bit in the world of rumor control. I had a staff member today from a building ask me if the board had decided to go out for a bond measure. And I said, no. And so after we were talking for a moment, and I realized that they had heard about our seismic retrofit grant process and thought we were going for a bond when we're actually going to apply for the seismic retro, and we've told you about that. So if you hear rumors that we're going for a bond, we're not. It's the seismic retrofit. The target building that we're going to start with is the middle school. So that's just in the realm of rumor control. And with that, if you have any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'm done.
Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Bruce and Dana. Okay, agenda item 8, action consent agenda. There's quite a few bits. Boy, that's long. I guess there's some public requirements for announcing publicly the different positions and whatnot. So with that, is there a motion to approve the action consent agenda as presented? Okay.
Second.
Motion from Dallas to approve it and a second from Mary. So any discussion? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We had a 7-0, Michelle. Okay, agenda item 9, 2025-01, resolution to accept new grant funds, create budget and appropriate spending authority for preschool promise grant, action item. Tim.
So, as you heard Dana and Bruce speak to, we are starting a preschool program. So very exciting time. Anytime you get to be a part of starting a new program in a school district, it's very exciting, especially something that we all view as so valuable and important, especially given the fact there's nothing, really there north of the bridge. So the application for this grant went in after the budget was developed. And so there was no way of knowing that these funds would have come through. And in fact, we just got the grant agreement from ODE last week, or maybe it was even this week. It was probably this week. It feels like it's already been a month this week. We've got so many things happening at once. So we just received that grant agreement from ODE, amount of $337,500. And that is funded through the Preschool Promise Grant. Through this resolution, because this is new fund, these are new funds that we did not have an awareness of at the time the budget was developed. This resolution provides us the grant appropriation authority to spend the money. So we will have the money go into our special revenue fund where the grants are housed, and we will be dividing it into instruction for $238,881.90, support services $58,618.10, and facilities and construction $40,000. So that is the purpose of this. So turn it over to you guys.
Any questions for Tim?
I'd like to move that we approve the resolution 2025-01, accepting and authorizing appropriations in the special revenue funds as follows. For the preschool promise grant with appropriation for functions, instruction, support services, and facilities and construction.
I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to approve resolution 2025-01. I'm not going to reread it.
You should.
But any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, thank you, Tim. Agenda item 10, inter-district transfers, action item.
Wait, could you go to number 10 on that new policy,
Cool.
the revision of policy JEBA, please?
My bad. Thank you, Michelle. Agenda item 10, I was looking at an old agenda. Agenda item 10, revision of policy JEBA, action item. Who's got that one? Me?
JEBA is a law. Here we go.
Would you like me to explain it at all? So basically, I should have Bruce explain it. He's the one that discovered, we have a situation in which sometimes we have students who want to come in as kindergartners, but our policy is very specific about them not being able to do so. unless their birthday is before September 1st. So hypothetically, let's say if your birthday was September 2nd, we would not allow you to be a kindergartner until you were one day before you, until you were 6. There are times in which one of our local private schools allow students that earlier than the public school would. So they might accept a kindergarten student who is too young to come into our system. So this policy was in the past intended to allow a student who completed a year of kindergarten to come in as a first grader, even though they would be a little bit too young for our first grade year. So essentially, this policy changes the word from and to or, so that it will allow us to enroll a student who completed a year of kindergarten but has their birth date after September 1st. So by saying and, it would require two things to happen exclusively. By saying or, which is what I think the policy, according to Bruce, was intended to say, and our old policy did say that this now gives us the option to let a student come in, even if they're just a little bit too young, but they've completed a successful year of kindergarten.
Well, I move that the board adopt JEBA with changes recommended by Superintendent Swagger.
I second that.
Okay, there's a motion by Dallas and a second by Carol, and the motion is I move for the board to adopt JEBA with the changes recommended by Superintendent Swaggerty. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7-0, Michelle. Then 10A, policy update, first read, no action. I noticed there's several in there. Was there anything you wanted to discuss on any of those? Or they're just for the board?
You had that
Just no action on this.
There is no action, it's just a first read for you. Many of those are policy recommendations through OSBA, and a couple of them are some business policy updates that include some language around e-cards, which are purchasing cards, and as opposed to credit cards. They will function very similar. So we're updating that policy just to include that. And what we would like to offer is you a chance to read through the first reads, and if you have questions in between, we can set up some times with small groups of board members to review the policies that we presented as a first read, to see if you have any questions specific to the policy or adoption.
From a general perspective, if you look at your cover sheet, you can get a sense for what the policies entail. As we worked through them, there wasn't a policy that we thought was particularly controversial or anything like that. This is pretty much the boring stuff, right? Just, stuff that needs to be done. And again, our philosophy is to focus on required policies, and then work our way towards some that are recommended, and then optional policies only if we feel like they directly impact programs and processes that we have with the district. So to not inundate the board or the district with unnecessary policy. So, and we'll, next month, we'll roll out a few more, because there's, we're trying to keep it also limited so that we don't end up with a stack of policies like this. And also, if there's a policy that says the recommendation is to delete, when you see that, I wouldn't spend 2 seconds beyond reading that it says delete, right? Because all the action is going to be is you're going to delete it. Sometimes they're replaced directly with a new policy. That's where you should put your focus. Sometimes policies are deleted because those topics are addressed somewhere else in the policy manual, and they won't have something specific that will replace it. Most of the time, policies are coming after legislative session will happen, educational policies and laws will change, OSBA will then create new sample policies. They'll be sent out to us to review and to adopt, and so those, this kind of rolls on.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Agenda item 11, inter-district transfers, action item.
Bruce, want to chat about that?
Sure. We were able to sit down and do our lottery draws for our students that we had coming into the district. And we were able to accommodate all of the folks that came in at that time with a request for an inter-district transfer agreement at the elementary level. And all of them at the middle